The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello traders, good day to you all. This is Tom Willis from Opteck, and today it is the 10th of December 2013. We saw yesterday great potential for several trades. I told you that my expectation is that the dollar and the silver will climb up, and that was the case. We had a very nice uptrend potential, and even today, even this morning, we had several good trades. I'm expecting the Japanese yen currencies to express an additional weakness. We can see that all the currencies in front of the Japanese yen are forming a corrective pattern, and the expectation is to see an uptrend, and we will analyze that once we'll begin to analyze the charts. For now, we had a very important announcement regarding the pound. You can see that over here. Generally, it did not deliver any kind of change, although the pound gained a bit strength in front of the dollar itself, but right now it's fluctuating around the same levels, so we can't basically cancel this expression. Nothing was made, and we couldn't really use that information. At the moment, as we speak, we've got an announcement from Draghi, the president of the European Central Bank. We will see some changes occurring during the analysis. That is my expectation. As he will talk about different issues regarding economy on behalf of Europe. And later on, we've got a bit of a quiet market, but still, once the US market will begin to operate, we should pay attention to the dollar index, see what the expression of the new liquidity driven from the US market is expressing on the charts. So, so as I said, we've got basically a very quiet trading session after the announcement regarding the euro. But I do expect to see some move occurring on the charts, and I do expect the dollar to again catch a specific perspective. We will go back to the dollar index and analyze that one. So going back to the charts, as I said, the Japanese yen currencies are forming a very clean structure of an uptrend. We can see that the euro is in a position for a trade, RSI, stochastic, everything is in place. We can see that the pound is approaching the same potential as well. Trend line above this corrective pattern will inform us when the market is ready to cross and to climb beyond that area. At the moment, do not trade on that one until we will cross the trend line. We've got the Australian dollar and the New Zealand, which are the strongest currencies in the market at the moment. You can see that it's not only the strongest, but it gained the largest amount of strength. Yesterday, they were the weakest currencies, the Australian dollar and the New Zealand, and at the moment, it seems like they are the strongest. Generally, I can see a potential over here for a bit more downtrend. We've got an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave is expected to drop down, so we may have a fluctuation level using the strength of the Japanese yen, but generally I can see this potential for an uptrend. Further on, once we'll have a logical structure, we'll be able to place trend lines and to use the idea of structure and the idea of psychology. Once we'll cross the trend lines, that will be a great area to rejoin an uptrend movement. Dollar versus Japanese yen, another good potential for an uptrend. Looking at the variety of assets, we can say that the dollar is not the strongest currency. This is why I wouldn't choose to trade this uptrend potential, but to trade the Australian dollar and the euro and even the pound. If we will cross the trend lines, we will have a safer entry point for three trades which express the largest strength in the market. The New Zealand in front of the Japanese yen, we can't trade this asset although that's the better probability in the market. Regarding the gold and the silver, I do want to talk about them. We will do that at the end of the analysis of the charts. Let's go to the on-demand instruments. Okay, as we can see at the moment, the Australian dollar and the New Zealand both express a lot of strength in the market. Right now, one in front of the other, we've got nothing. The RSI is fluctuating around the 50 level, and at the moment, it seems that we shouldn't really use this asset. As I'm always saying, it's basically an asset that I'm using when I've got announcements. When I've got an announcement on the New Zealand or the Australian dollar, this chart will highlight the difference between the currencies, just as we had over here. And other situations like this one, for example, we can see exactly where we had an announcement that delivered an additional strength to one of them. But remember that the New Zealand and the Australian dollar both work on specific time frames which aren't according to the European session or the US market. So we can't expect to see a lot of change occurring on this chart during a usual time frame, meaning during the European session and the US markets time frame. Let's look at this one. Australian dollar versus the Japanese yen. I've talked about that just a second ago. Again, a good potential for an uptrend, a trend line across, and that will be a great trade for an uptrend. Euro Japanese yen, as I said, it's approaching a potential for an uptrend. I would wait for this trend line to be crossed, and we'll be able to climb with the uptrend expectation. Euro versus the US dollar. From this structure, we can say that we've received an ABC dropping down after we've received an impulse movement climbing up. Again, from this expectation, I'm building up a potential for a weaker dollar in the market, which will proceed toward the rate that I talked about yesterday regarding the dollar index. To remind you, we had an expectation regarding the dollar index. I'll analyze that in a second. But again, a good potential for an uptrend. If we'll cross a trend line, that will be a great entry point for an uptrend potential. Nothing over here. Pound versus Japanese yen, again a nice uptrend potential. We've received a good clean A, B, C structure. I do expect to see a bit more downtrend that will reach this rate 169.17, something like that, and then the market will start to climb up, back up again. A good position to catch an uptrend movement. If you'd like to use the 60-second strategy, you can do that in front of the Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. Use the 1-minute chart, and again, once the market will cross the area, will cross the trend line, you'll be able to catch any kind of pullback on the stochastic and to climb with it for 10-minute trades. We've got some movement on behalf of the euro. It's gaining a bit more strength. The gold and the silver both reached a point over here where I've sent signals to enter to a call option. Over here we had a signal, the RSI, the stochastic, everything, a great uptrend we had, and right now it formed a corrective pattern and it's expected to climb back up again, but unfortunately I've got no entry point according to our strategy. But let's go to 5-minute chart. Let's see what's going on over there. Should present, yeah, we had a great entry point over here. At the moment, do not trade this chart. It seems like at the moment we're forming an A, a B, and a C is expected to drop down. So only over here, once we'll drop down again, we will have a great signal on a 15-minute chart. So again, another expectation for a weaker dollar is presented through the gold and the silver, showing that there's potential for a bit more uptrend before we'll start to fall. And in this case, let me first check if we've got something else. Nothing at the moment. So let's go to the dollar index. Through the dollar index, I've changed my perspective several times because of the structure. Generally, my idea is that we've got an A wave, a B triangle, and a C wave forming right now. It seems like we've formed the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth is in the making. So a bit more weakness is expected on the dollar index, and generally dollar's strength will be lower in front of other assets. I can tell you that my expectation of a drop down will be until approximately until this area. It's a logical downtrend movement. You can see that we're very close to the target, and when we'll reach this area, I'll start looking for weakness on other currencies to express the potential of strength of the dollar. But generally, I can tell you that placing a trend line above this structure, it'll be a logical thing. Once we'll cross that, that will indicate that the dollar is regaining its strength. Again, first we need to drop down, touch this area, and then across beyond the trend line will indicate that the dollar indeed is in a perspective of a stronger and stronger and stronger dollar, expressing the gold silver downtrend and expressing larger strength in front of other currencies which are the weakest. At the moment it is the Japanese yen, but I do not want to state at the moment that that will be a preferable choice, because I don't know what will be the weakest currency, who will be the weakest currency if the dollar will start to regain strength over here. My expectation is that the Australian dollar and the New Zealand will will drop down in terms of strength. They will get weaker, and then they will express the weakest currencies group in the market, and then we'll see the expression of the dollar in front of the Australian dollar and the New Zealand with the largest and strongest movements. But that's a guess. At the moment, we will need to see a downtrend and then across beyond the trend line. That will be a completion of an entire fifth wave cycle, and then we'll be able to follow a continuance of an uptrend. That completes our session for today. I wish you all the best with your trades. If you have questions, you got your brokers. You'll be able to use their assistance. All the best, and bye bye.